Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Happy Friday to everybody that is joining in. Yes, good morning to you. And today we are reading The Next President, The Unexpected Beginnings and Unwritten Future of America's Presidents. And this one is written by Kate Messner and illustrated by Adam Rex. So yes, do get settled and get ready for that one. Happy Friday to you and welcome to Storytime today. Good morning to you, Danny. How are you doing? Good morning to you, Isabella. Good morning to you, Luis. And good morning to you, Leslie. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, happy Friday to you. Good morning to you, John. How are you doing? And good morning to you, Jackson Marin. How are you today? Good to see you with us. Happy Friday to you. Yes, I hope you're ready and excited for this one. Jackson, who knows? You could be the next president. Magdalena Iron, how are you doing? Joining in with Theodore out in San Francisco. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Yes. And thank you for joining us for last night's reading as well. Thank you so much. Jessica and Desmond out in Gilroy. Good to see you. Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Welcome. I hope we are ready. I hope you're having your day off and enjoying it. Darky Shepa, how are you doing? Happy Friday to you. Pema and Maya, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you. Ellen in Chicago, how are you doing today? You say you're curious about today's book. Yes, it is an exciting one. Yes, lots of information, lots to share. Good morning to you, Harmony Beth. How are you doing? Welcome. Good morning to you, Veronica, and good morning to you, Lacey. How are you doing today? Thank you so much. Lacey, right here in Auckland. Thank you, John. Hope you have yourself a lovely day. And Jackson, have a beautiful day yourself. Thank you so much. Good morning, Miss Veda. Very funny, Miss Veda. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining us. Happy Friday. Thank you. Jaylin Faith, how are you doing? And you're joining in with Henry and Penelope out in San Francisco. Good morning to you. Good morning, Henry and Penelope. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you, Zayana. How are you doing today? Good morning to you, Zion. How are you? And Truvesta, hope you're having yourself a lovely morning. Yes, thank you to everybody that is joining in. Thank you so much. Thank you, Harmony. Yes, I will enjoy next week. Thank you so much. But yes, Storytime will still be posting some stuff over for you, so just do join us for those. But yes, I'll be taking some time to rest. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that is joining in on this day. Yes, it is July 3rd. And lots of people have days off, so please enjoy that, and hopefully you're spending them with your family. But just a few reminders before we go into our story today. And please be reminded, yes, if you have not registered to vote, yes, please do that. Register to vote. And even though even if you cannot vote, you can still help out in the electoral process in so many different ways. Encourage others to vote, participate, volunteer. There's so many things that we could do to still help. And of course, take the census. Yes, be counted, take the census, and so our governments can make decisions, the right decisions based on the right numbers. Thank you so much. And yes, stay engaged as a citizen. Go back if you can and look at what can a citizen do. And you will see how that one outlines many ways in which we can participate and definitely share in our community. Thank you so much. And remember that Storytime will be taking a break next week. We are off, but we'll be back Monday, July 13th with more exciting stories. Yes, and good evening to you, Ali Nespiri, joining us all the way out in Lusaka. Thank you so much. Talia, good morning to you. Thank you. Happy Friday. And Adam, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are right on time. So we're going to get started with our story today. And this one is The Next President, The Unexpected Beginnings and Unwritten Future of America's Presidents. It is written by Kate Messner and illustrated by Adam Rex, and of course being read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Good morning. Let's get started. Name the President of the United States. No matter when you read this book, there's only one right answer to that question, because America only has one president at a time. But no matter who holds the job right now, the president of tomorrow are always out there somewhere. Some already know they would like to run the country one day. Some are learning how government works as members of Congress or representatives in state, local, or student government. And some don't have a clue yet that one day they will be president. 1789, when George Washington became the first president of the United States, there were 9 future presidents already alive in America. 4 of them were working alongside Washington in the nation's new capital. President 2, John Adams, was Washington's vice president. Adams was known for having a short temper and getting into arguments. He was the only one of the first 5 presidents who didn't enslave people. President 3, Thomas Jefferson, served as President of the as Secretary of State. In 1776, he had written the Declaration of Independence, which includes the words, "All men are created equal," even though Jefferson enslaved hundreds of people on his Virginia plantation. President 4, James Madison, had grown up on a plantation in Virginia and now represented the state in the nation's new Congress. Madison wasn't always easy to hear with his quiet voice, and he ended up being America's smallest president. Madison was 5 feet 4 inches tall and only weighed 100 pounds. President 5, James Monroe, had run for Congress too, but he had lost to Madison. Monroe would be elected to the Senate the following year. Like many other future presidents, he'd intended to study law in college, but he dropped out to join the army. (1789). At the time of Washington's inauguration, Presidents 6 and 7 were both practicing law, while Presidents 8, 9, and 12 were all kids. Presidents 10 and 11 hadn't been born yet. President 7, Andrew Jackson, was living in a boarding house in Nashville. Jackson was the son of Irish immigrants. His father had died before he was born, and he had grown up with a reputation as an outsider with a furious temper. President 6, John Quincy Adams, was about to open his own legal practice in Boston as a boy. He had arrived overseas with his father to ask France for help during the Revolutionary War. President 8, Martin Van Buren, was 7 years old, helping with chores on his parents' farm in Kinderhook, New York. President 9, William Henry Harrison, was 16 years old and studying medicine. President 12, 4-year-old Zachary Taylor, was living with his 2 older brothers on the Kentucky farmland his father had been given for serving in the Revolutionary War. Just a quick snapshot. After 19 years in law and politics and another 23 years before he would be president, Andrew Jackson was running a Tennessee cotton plantation. He had been in fights and duels before, but this time it was more serious. It all started when a man named Charles Dickinson accused Jackson of cheating on a horse bet and insulted Jackson's wife. Dickinson fired the first shot and hit Jackson close to his heart. The bullet that hit Jackson was too close to his heart for doctors to remove, and Jackson would carry it with him all the way to the White House in 1829. Another snapshot. 33 years before he would be president, Abraham Lincoln was on his way to New Orleans, working on a Mississippi riverboat full of farm produce. Lincoln cooked, navigated, and did whatever else was needed to help out. 1841. When William Henry Harrison became President 9, there were 14 future presidents alive. Most of them were already involved in politics somehow. President 10, John Tyler, had worked as a lawyer, congressman, and senator before he was elected to be Harrison's vice president. Some historians have called Tyler the accidental president because he had to take over when Harrison died of pneumonia just 31 days into his term. President 23. And you notice the skip there to 23. We'll come back to that at some point. President 23. Little Benjamin Harrison was 7 years old, but wasn't actually there at the inauguration, but probably wished he had been. He had been there. He must have been proud when his grandpa, William Henry Harrison, took the oath of office. President 11, James K. Polk, had a setback that year. He had been governor of Tennessee, but didn't get re-elected. He lost to a 6'2" tall person and 125-pound man with the nickname Lean Jimmy Jones. Polk didn't give up on politics, though. He started talking with people about his desire to be nominated vice president. And little Zachary Taylor, President 12, was grown up and serving in the military now. Presidents in 1841, Presidents 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 were all serving in government then. President 13, Millard Fillmore, who had grown up as a quiet bookworm in central New York, was in Congress. President 14, Franklin Pierce, had been serving as a senator but left Washington in 1841 to go home to New Hampshire at his wife's request. President 15, James Buchanan, was in the Senate in 1841. 16 years later, he would become the only president who never got married. President 16, Abraham Lincoln, was serving in the Illinois legislature then. He'd done lots of other jobs before that. As a young man, Lincoln built things, sold groceries, did farm chores, and rode a ferry boat. And President 17, Andrew Johnson, was elected to the state senate in Tennessee. He had moved there with a cart and pony way back in 1825 after he ran away from a tailor to whom he had been apprenticed. (1841). Presidents 18 and 19 were both in college in 1841. President 18, Ulysses S. Grant, was attending the United States Military Academy at West Point, preparing for his time in the armed forces. President 19, Rutherford B. Hayes, was studying at Kenyon College, preparing for a career in law. He had a reputation as a pretty good cook, even though cooking in student rooms was against the rules. President 20, James Garfield, was working on an Ohio farm with his brothers and his mom. Presidents 20, 21, and 22 were all busy growing up in 1841. President 21, Chester A. Arthur, was in school, but he moved around a lot with his father, a preacher who traveled from town to town. President 22, and later to be President 24, Grover Cleveland, also had a dad who was a preacher. His family traveled from church to church too. Whenever he could, he snuck away to fish. And President 23, who we talked about earlier, back on page 14, President 23, little Benjamin Harrison, who was 7 years old in 1841, wasn't actually there for the inauguration, but probably wished that he could have seen that moment. He must have been proud when his grandpa, William Henry Harrison, took the oath of office. Another snapshot. After serving in the Illinois General Assembly and losing a race for U.S. Senate, Abraham Lincoln finally made it to the White House and brought along two goats, Nanny and Nanko. Nanko used to get in trouble for eating blossoms out of the flower beds. Lincoln wasn't the only president with a passion for pets. Warren Harding had an Airedale named Laddie-boy, who used to attend cabinet meetings with the president. When Calvin Coolidge was in the White House, Mrs. Coolidge had a raccoon named Rebecca that she took for walks on a leash. And then there was William Johnson's hippopotamus nicknamed Billy, a pygmy hippo the president received as a gift in 1927. Billy ended up spending most of his time at the National Zoo. Theodore Roosevelt's White House visitors might have met Bill the lizard, Mulder the pig, Josiah the badger, Baron Speckle the hen, or Peter the rabbit. The Roosevelts also had a hyena, a barn owl, some ducks in the fountain, an Icelandic pony named Algonquin, a small bear named Jonathan Edwards, and a handful of snakes. One of the snakes belonged to first daughter Alice, who said she named it Emily Spinach because it was green and as thin as her Aunt Emily. Meanwhile, Thomas Jefferson and William McKinley were partial to birds. Jefferson had a mockingbird named Dick, who perched on his shoulder sometimes while he worked. And McKinley had a parrot named Washington Post, who could supposedly whistle the song Yankee Doodle. 1897, when President 25, William McKinley, moved into the White House with his vice president, Garrett Hobart, there were 9 future presidents alive. President 26, Theodore Roosevelt, was serving as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. It might not have seemed very exciting after his wild years as a cattle rancher in the Badlands of South Dakota. But before long, Roosevelt would get a bigger job. He would become vice president after the death of Garrett Hobart. President 27, William Howard Taft, was serving as a judge and teaching at the University of Cincinnati Law School. Taft was a big man who had a reputation as a fighter and a wrestler when he was growing up. President 28, Woodrow Wilson, was teaching at Princeton University and liked to ride his bike around campus. President 29, Warren G. Harding, was running the Marion Star, an Ohio newspaper he had purchased with 2 friends. President 30, Calvin Coolidge, was working as a lawyer in Northampton, Massachusetts. He had learned all about the hard work helping out in his father's general store when he was a kid. He had worn his hair a little long in college, but he had to cut it shorter when he took up the job in law and realized what serious work he would be doing. President 31, Herbert Hoover, had studied engineering in college and was managing a gold mining operation in Australia. In 1897, Presidents 32, 33, and 34 were kids. President 32, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was 15 and loved sailing when his family vacationed in Maine. Roosevelt was a collector too. He kept detailed notebooks about his postage stamp, bird nest, and egg collections. President 33, Harry Truman, who was turning 13 that year, played piano and loved to read, especially biographies. Later on, before he became president, he would work as a timekeeper for a railroad gang and spend time farming cows and pigs. President 34, 7-year-old Dwight D. Eisenhower, was helping out in the family garden with his brothers. The boys also worked at their father's creamery after school. When he had free time, Dwight liked playing baseball and football. Snapshot number 3, Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt wins the prize for president who had the most adventures on his way to the White House. After he finished law school, he took off for Europe and climbed the Matterhorn in the Alps. He moved out west for a while, bought a ranch in South Dakota, and spent his time riding, roping, and hunting. Even after Roosevelt became vice president in 1901, he snuck off to explore. He was climbing Mount Marcy, the tallest peak in Adirondacks, when a messenger arrived to tell him President William McKinley had taken a turn for the worse after being shot by an assassin in Buffalo. Roosevelt left for Buffalo the next day, but McKinley died before he got there. Roosevelt was sworn in as president before he could even unpack his bags. At 42, he became the youngest president to take office. 1961. But it was President 35, John F. Kennedy, who was the youngest to be elected to the job. Kennedy was 43 years old when he took the oath of office. The next 10 presidents were alive then too, scattered all over the country. President 36, Lyndon Baines Johnson, was serving as JFK's vice president. That was a fancier job than others he'd had. As a kid, Johnson had shined shoes and picked cotton. After high school, he had moved out to California to pick oranges and wash dishes to earn money for college. President 37, Richard Nixon, had served as vice president under Dwight D. Eisenhower and hoped to be president next. But he lost the 1960 election to Kennedy, so he left the White House and moved back to California. Many people think our nation's first televised debates had a big role in Nixon's defeat. TV was new then. Nixon didn't practice as much as Kennedy did, and he also refused to use professional makeup, even though he had been in the hospital recently. After the first debate, his mom called him on the phone to ask if he was feeling all right. President 39, 1961. President 38. Gerald Ford was serving in Congress. He had come a long way from his awkward teenage years when he bought his first car, a $75 Ford Coupe with a rumble seat, and promptly set it on fire, covering the hood with blankets on a winter night while the engine was still hot. President 39, Jimmy Carter, was running a peanut farm in Georgia and serving on his local school board. President 40, Ronald Reagan, was working as a TV host before becoming president. He had also announced play-by-play sports on the radio, acted in movies, and served as governor of California. President 41, George H.W. Bush, wouldn't wouldn't lead the nation for another 28 years. But in 1961, he was president of an oil exploration company called Zapata Offshore. 1961, and presidents 42, 43, 44, and 45 were all kids. President 42, Bill Clinton, was 15 years old and going to school in Arkansas, where he loved debate and playing tenor saxophone. In 1963, he would be chosen as a delegate to Boys Nation, where he would meet President Kennedy and shake his hand. President 43, George W. Bush, son to President 41, was 15 in 1961 and attended prep school in Massachusetts. By senior year, he'd signed up for the cheerleading squad. President 44, Barack Obama, was born that year, the son of an American woman and a Kenyan man who'd met at the University of Hawaii. Their little boy would grow up to be the first African-American president of the United States. President 45, Donald Trump, was a teenager then. He was attending New York Military Academy, where his father had hoped he would learn some discipline. And where is the next president now? It's exciting to think about it, isn't it? The truth is, America's earliest presidents weren't all that different from one another. Most were wealthy, white, Protestant men who might have been surprised if they had been around to see a Catholic or an African-American man elected president, or a woman nominated by a major party for the highest office in the land. But all those things have happened because America is always changing, and it is changing now. When voters choose the next president, they won't look to the past, but to the future, the ever-hopeful vision of what America could be. So, where is the next president? At least 10 of our future presidents are probably alive today. If we go by the odds, 3 of them are likely serving in government somewhere already. 1 is in college or in the military. 3 probably have other jobs, perhaps practicing law, building things, teaching, running a business. And at least 3 of our future presidents are kids. What are they doing now? They might be solving math problems, or reading books, writing poetry or code, testing a hypothesis or learning to dance, making art or making change. For now, they are busy growing up into the job, listening, learning, and getting ready to lead. The end. Thank you so much for joining in for that one. That was a marathon for sure, but lots of good information, lots and lots of information. So who is the next president? Let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. But yes, we are ever hopeful, and we can also be reminded that we can play our part. Register to vote, take part, be involved as a citizen, be involved in your community, see how you can help. Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Remember, Storytime is taking a break next week, but we are back Monday, July 13th. So do join us then for more exciting stories. Thank you so much to everybody that joined in. Yes, who do we have with us? Let's just see who we have one more time. Thank you so much to everybody that is joining in. Harmony Beth, thank you so much. Veronica, Maya and Raven, good morning to you. Thank you so much. Happy Friday. I hope you enjoyed that one. Miss Ali in Lusaka, thank you so much for joining us. Talia, one more time, and Adam, thank you so much for joining us in San Francisco. Moffat, good morning to you, or is it good evening out in Zambia? Thank you so much for joining us, my brother. Talk to you soon. Katerekunda, all the way out in Zambia, thank you for joining us for that one. Veronica and Lacey, thank you one more time. Yes. Happy birthday to your dad, Maya. Oh, to your dad, Kathleen. You say it's your dad's 82nd birthday. Well, happy birthday to him and hope he enjoys the 4th of July break. Yes, thank you so much. Sheba Chanda, thank you. Shamarin and Zaire, how are you doing today? Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that one. And from Lanzarote out in Spain, good morning, good evening to you, JJ and Frankie. And good evening to you, Nicole Flynn. Thank you so much. Lynette from Marine and Quincy, how are you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Enjoy your summer. And good evening to you one more time out in Denmark. Sopuru, Arinze, and Choco, thank you for joining us. Absolutely adorable, Jen Veda. Thank you so much for sharing that. Lydia Yamaguchi, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, Teddy Roosevelt and John Muir protracted our national parks. Thank you so much, Lynette, for sharing that one. Yes. Love that, Lynette. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Everybody's joined in. Maya and Pema, thank you so much. Yes, I hope you enjoyed that book. It is a good one. The Next President, The Unexpected Beginning, An Unwritten Future of America's Presidents. Yes, you could be sitting next to the next president right now. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. Jaylene Faith, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Ellen, thank you so much. I am glad you learned a lot. And yes, we will be back July 13th for more stories. And keep your recommendations coming as well. Thank you so much. Yes. Jessica and Desmond out in Gilroy, have yourselves a lovely, lovely day and an even wonderful 4th of July weekend. Thank you so much for joining in today. And of course, from me, it is much love as always. And I will see you on July 13th. Much love. Bye-bye.